Okay, our title today is two-step equations. I'll just abbreviate. Two-step equations, and this is our fourth one. Okay, I put a little mark here for the halfway across the paper. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but some people even draw a line all the way down. I'm not going to. But what we're going to do on this side is we're only one side of the equals. Only one side of the equals. We're going to work on only one side of the equals. It'll make sense after we do this. And on the other one, we're going to do both sides. Both sides of equals of the equation. All right, so we're going to work on one side on this side, and on the other one we're going to work on both sides of the equation. All right, so when dealing with there's two steps, right? Well, our first step is to get rid of the constant, and our second step is to get rid of the coefficient. It looks like I put them in reverse order, but I did this for a reason. So if you could write this down, and I'm writing fairly small. If you want to, you can put this first. The second step is the coefficient. We want to get rid of that coefficient. That's spelled C-O-E, double F, I-C-I-E-N-T, coefficient. The first step, though, is to get rid of the constant. C-O-N-S-T-A-N-T, constant. All right, now to do that, we need to, so for the coefficient, we're going to change, and I use this delta symbol for change into a 1. The constant, we're going to change into a 0. So the coefficient we're going to change to a 1, and the constant we're going to change to a 0. Okay, that'll make more sense as we go. The first step is to get rid of the constant, and we do that by changing it into a 0. All right, so let's begin with our first problem, and it is this. And I'm kind of spreading it out. Remember, I said we're only working on one side, right? Only on one side. And there's two sides of the equation. So our first step is to get rid of the constant. We change it into a 0. How do we do that? We would simply add 5. We would add 5. That would make that to a 0. See, I'm going to put a line underneath this. This becomes 0. Over here, how do I get rid of this? I would divide by 3. Now notice when I divide by 3, 3 divided by 3 is just 1. So really this is 1x. So this is 0. And this is 1x. I changed the constant into a 0, and I changed the coefficient into a 1. Because 1x is just x. And see that? I got the x by itself. But I only did it to one side. We would have to do it to both sides to find the answer. But let's just practice doing it to one side. Okay, so we're not finishing this problem. We're only doing one side. So I'm going to go ahead and separate this. This will be number 2. So x over 6 plus 2 I'm sorry, you can't see that. Let me raise it up there. Equals negative 4. Okay, our first step, we have a left and right side. We're just going to work on this side, get the letter by itself. So to do that, we would make this into a 0. So I would subtract 2. You notice that when I subtract 2, plus 2 minus 2, that's 0. Okay, to make this 6 into a 1 is divided by 6, so I multiply by 6. Because 6 divided by 6 is 1, so it's 1x. Notice what I did. I made this to a 0, the constant, and I made this into a 1. And you can see 1x is just x. Okay, that's all we're going to do. We just worked on one side. Okay, so I'm going to separate this. And yeah, number 3. Shut down, dog. Okay, sorry, excuse me. So now we have 5x plus 1 equals negative 9. And you have a left and right side. We're only going to work on this side. So we want to make the constant, do the constant first, make it into a 0. We would subtract 1. Because 1 minus 1 is 0. And over here, this 5, I would simply divide by 5. Because that's times, I divide. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. So you're just left with x, 1x. 1x is the same thing as x. And so you are done with this side. To find the answer, we would have to do it to both sides. So let me just separate this. That's all we're going to do. Okay, number 4. X over 2 minus 7 equals 18. There's two sides, left and right. We're just going to work on this side. So let's see, we want to get rid of the constant, make it a 0. To do that, I do the opposite. I add 7. Because negative 7 plus 7 is 0. Over here, divide by 2. I want to make it a 1. So I will multiply by 2. Because 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1x. Or just x, really. Because 1x is the same thing as just x. And that is it. Those are the two steps. One more like this. Number 5. Negative 6x plus 4 equals negative 2. Okay, you have a left and right side. Two sides, but we're just going to work on one side. Make the constant into a 0. You see that's plus 4. I subtract 4. Excuse me, wrong color. Four and minus 4 is just 0. This is times, right? Negative 6 times. So I will divide by the same number. Because negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1. Remember, negatives cancel, 2 negatives cancel. It's just 1x. So I changed this to a 0 and I changed it to 1. That means it's just x. So the two steps were subtract 4, divide by -6. Okay, so now what I'm going to do now is we'll do 4 problems. Actually just 3 problems. We're going to work on both sides of the equation. And I think I'm going to separate mine. I'm just going to draw a line going down the middle. You don't have to, but that's just what I'm going to do. Okay, this will be number 6. Now this time we're going to work on both sides of the equals. All right, our first step is to make this, get rid of the constant. How do we do that? How do we make it to a 0? Okay, that is now 0. So I don't need to write 0 though. So on the left-hand side, that's 0, and this is just x over 8. And on this side, we need to total this side up. So if you want to think of your tongue, so how much is -11 and +3? There's more negative. How much more negative is there? Okay, now I need to get rid of this divide by 8, make it into a 1. So this becomes 1x, or just x. And on the other side, if I multiply by 8, I have to multiply by 8. 8 times 8 is 64. And there's one negative, so it's negative. And you can always plug it in to see if it works. Okay, number 7. Okay, you have a left and right side. What you do to one side, you do to the other. First step is to get rid of the constant. But you have to do it to both sides. And see, that becomes 0. And you are left with -5x on this side. That's 0. On the other side, 41 minus 6. 41 minus 6. Okay, next step. Next step is to make this into a 1. Divide by -5. That becomes 1. 1x. On the other side, you have to do the same thing. Divide by -5. That's a typo. You know what, I kind of like doing little rightos because I can use this little whiteout tape. That's nice. Okay, and so 5 goes into 35 7 times, and there's one negative. Oh, there's another reason to use this. I'll just lower this down. Notice I'm trying to keep this lined up. Keep your equals lined up. When you have longer problems next year and the years after that, you'll want to keep this lined up. Okay, this will be our last one, number 8. So that is x over negative 10 minus 8 equals negative 15. So our first step, that's right, there's two sides. But you need to do it to both sides. Okay, so you made this a 0. Good job. Negative 8 and 8 is 0. You just have this. And on the other side, what is the total of this? 15 negatives and 8 positives. There's more negatives. How many more? 15 take away 8 is 7. There's 7 more. To get rid of divide by negative 10, you want to make it to a 1. So multiply by negative 10. Because this will just be 1x. And 7 times 10 is 70. And 2 negatives cancel when multiplying and dividing. By the way, if you plug this in to there, 70 divided by 10 is 7, but there's a negative, so it's negative 7. Negative 7, negative 8 is negative 15. It works. So hopefully you were able to concentrate on the 2 main steps, and that's making the constant into a 0 and making the coefficient into a 1. You're going to add or subtract, and then you're going to multiply or divide.